The best news yet for Miami Heat fans this season. Miami has 3 straight wins, 12-10 record, but we have to talk about the starting lineup of the Miami Heat because it very well may be the best starting lineup in all of basketball. We'll tell you why coming up in just a second. But what is the starting lineup? Well, I assume most of you know, but the changes that have been made. Terry Rozier got hurt. Duncan Robinson went in, so you've had a Herro Duncan Robinson backcourt. And with Nikola Jovic being pushed out of the rotation completely, Haywood Highsmith has taken his spot as the starting four, which has the starting group look like this, which is kind of ironic that this is the best five-man group that the Heat have thrown out there this season. Why is it funny? Well, it's because Herro, Duncan, Jimmy, and Bam are the only players left from the original 2019-2020 bubble team, which is I find pretty interesting. But before we talk more about it, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we've got daily content. We're starting up our live watch parties once again. It's tough to do them on the weekend during football season due to other obligations here at Chat Sports, but they will be returning this Thursday against the Raptors, so hit that sub button on the trail to 16K subscribers. All right, when you have that new starting lineup that we just showcased, the Heat are actually 7-2. The first time that starting lineup was started this year was against the Dallas Mavericks on that Sunday afternoon game where they beat the Mavs without Luka Doncic. A pretty good win, actually, because Dallas played pretty well with Luka out of the lineup, and they're playing better now even with him in the lineup. But the one game that doesn't count is that game against the Boston Celtics, to where Jaime Jaquez Jr. had to start in place of Jimmy Butler, who was out with a knee injury, but it's been a hot streak for this five-man group. And when you've seen them take the floor together, it's been pure dominance. Now, I will say the starting lineup, in terms of it actually starting, has not been the best. It feels like an average starting group in the first quarter, where for whatever reason this team has really taken it over the last 9 games they've played together, is when they start the second half together. The Heat were the worst third-quarter team in basketball over the first 4 or 5 games and couple weeks of the season. They've been unbelievable in the third quarter over the last 2 weeks. And you see this numbers on screen. A 20.8 net rating, an offensive rating of 125. They have been phenomenal when sharing the court together. It is actually the number 1 5-man lineup in the entire NBA for any group that has played over 100 minutes together. They've played 118 to be exact, just edging out the Boston Celtics starting group, who has played about 180 minutes together this season by about 0.2 on the net rating. But it just shows you that we look at the Celtics starting lineup this season as the best 5-man group in all of basketball. And this group, even though it's only 60, 70 minutes less, have had the same net rating as that Celtics starting 5. Is it because they've just played really good basketball over the last week or so? Maybe. And the numbers have been inflated by some of these runs against the Cavs in the third quarter yesterday and the Lakers last Wednesday. Sure, you can point to that a little bit, but one thing is clear. This group has been the best starting lineup Miami has thrown out there. It is 10 times better than the group that started at the start of the season, and it's the starting lineup that has to stay with no injuries hopefully occurring anytime soon. So grade the Heat starting lineup for me. We talked a lot in the offseason on who should be the starting backcourt, who should be the starting 4. We knew Jimmy, Tyler, and Bam were likely going to start, but where should all the other pieces fill in? Well, it looks like we found our answer. Grade the Heat starting lineup for me down in the comments section. And I do want to make a note that these numbers that we have been showing might be inflated because the Heat are on a I'm sorry, I had to do it, because they've won the last 3 games and they've been on an offensive explosion. 122 against the Cavs, 121 against the Suns, 134 against the Lakers, which, I can go in depth for about an hour on how bad the Los Angeles Lakers defense is and has been, but that's neither here nor there. The offense has been great. And I'm not going to just try to diminish it. I'm going to enjoy what I've been watching. And doing what they did last night against the Cleveland Cavaliers, that is a big-time showcase of what this team is capable of doing. Even though Evan Mobley got hurt in that game and did not play the second half, they still had Darius Garland. They still had Donovan Mitchell. They still had Jared Allen. Yes, Mobley's been unbelievable for them this season, but this offense took it to Cleveland yesterday. And you really played good defense as well on Donovan Mitchell. And I think actually that might be the most shocking thing of this all, is that when you have a lineup of Herro and Duncan Robinson in the backcourt, the fear has always been that they're not going to be able to defend. Well, yeah, Garland got his own yesterday, but you saw the numbers a little bit earlier. Like, the defensive rating in that group is 104. That is elite. Like, they're still playing good defense, even with Tyler and Duncan in the backcourt. Kind of shows how good Jimmy, Haywood, and Bam has been. But also, Herro's taken a little bit of a step forward defensively with his added weight and agility. But when you look at the entire season, this is not the starting group. This is the Miami Heat as a basketball team. We are seeing something we have not seen in a very long time, or at least at all, with the Jimmy Butler era. The Heat have a top 10 offense in all of basketball in terms of offensive rating. They are 9th in basketball, and it's been quite a jump. Just 2 or 3 weeks ago, they were 22nd. They've got hot over the past 2 weeks, and now they're in the top 10. That's how things can change and how well you shoot it. And that is the story. This team is shooting it extremely well, 38.3% from beyond the arc. That's 7th best in basketball. It is concerning, though, that they are very reliant on the three-point shot. And I'm not going to complain and try to diminish this offense because it's been fun to watch them score consistently over 110, over 115 points over the past week and a half, 2 weeks or so. But you did see some other glaring numbers there. Their field goal percentage as a team is the 24th best mark in the NBA. That is not good. They still play at a very slow pace, the 28th pace team in basketball. So my question is this, and this was the story last year as 2 years ago as well. If the Heat struggle to make three-point shots, where do they find their offense from? Yes, they have gotten hot over the last week and a half from beyond the arc, reason why they're scoring a lot of points right now. But if they go in a dry spell and a cold spell, like they did against the Boston Celtics on Monday, well, how do they get other points and baskets from there? It's still something that I'm a little concerned about. I don't want to act like it's all sunshines and rainbows in Miami because this team still is only 12-10 and 5th in the Eastern Conference. All right, we got more to discuss here in just a second, but we are sponsored by Game Time, the best ticketing app out there. And if you want to go see the Heat play in person or the Dolphins, one more home game left for them, make sure you get your tickets with Game Time. They've got so many great features like Game Time Picks. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible great deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. A couple other features I really like. One, you get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, but you also can toggle all-in pricing, which shows you the total price of your tickets up front rather than getting blindsided by fees at checkout. I use Game Time to get my tickets, whether I'm going to a sporting event like Mets, Dodgers, NLCS Games 4 and 5, USC, LSU in week 1 of college football. Crazy that was very much 2 or 3 months ago. But either way, I use Game Time, and I implore you guys to do the same. Download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. First purchase only. One more time, code CHATSPORTS. When you download the app and create an account, that gets you $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to Game Time. What time is it? It is game time. The reason why this offense has taken that next step and has looked like a top 10 offense in all of basketball is because of that new starting lineup's offensive output as of late. Duncan Robinson and Tyler Herro have been unbelievable. It's unfathomable how good they've been. And you actually could go back 2.5, 3 weeks ago before the Heat made this switch, by the way. I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but the proof is in the pudding. You could find the receipts. I made a video saying that Rozier had to go to the bench and moving Duncan Robinson in the starting lineup because Herro and Duncan as a two-man unit this season has had unbelievable good offensive ratings compared to their defensive rating. And now we're seeing it come to fruition in a 5-man lineup. And if you just look specifically in the last 5 games, these two have been unbelievable. Tyler Herro is Eastern Conference Player of the Week for last week. That's how good he's been. He is taking the leap. He is not an all-star, I am going to be upset. Now, there's still a while until all-star voting comes in. It ultimately is announced, so he does have to keep on playing well. But through the first 2 months of the season, he is without a question one of the top 5 or 6 guards in the Eastern Conference. And when you specifically talk about Duncan Robinson as well, he changes things for the Miami Heat. If you have watched our Heat watch parties, you know that I get on Duncan Robinson's case. I do. It's because he is not a good defender whatsoever, and he fouls a shit ton on the defensive side of the floor. But when he is consistently making his three-point shots, and I know every shooter is going to go through a dry spell. I get it. But when he's shooting 40% over the last 5 games, like you've seen, it changes changes this offense, because when he's consistently going 3 of 6, 3 of 7, 4 of 8, 4 of 9 from 3 every night, it changes the way opposing defenses have to defend you, which allows more cuts and more space for Jimmy Butler, for Bam Adebayo, more catch and shoot opportunities for Tyler Herro. But then when Duncan's draining them, like he had 19 points against the Cavs, he was hooping. He did the same thing against the Suns. When he's got that confidence coming off these screens, these curls, it's just automatic. And every time he shoots the ball, it feels like it's going to go in. And it hides the struggles he has defensively. So when Duncan Robinson's going right, there's not many teams in the NBA that will have a better offense than the Miami Heat. It's tough that it relies so much on Duncan making the three-point shots, but that's just how it is. And show Double Nickel some love. Spam those 55s down in the comment section, because Duncan's playing really good over the last 5 games, and it's the reason why the Heat just won 3 straight. But you also have to show Bam Adebayo some love. I have been very critical of number 13 this season, both on videos and both on our watch parties, because he has not looked like himself whatsoever, and it's honestly been an embarrassment that some of the missed shots he has had that close to the rim. But over the last 5 games, he has been fantastic. Still only averaging 16.5 points per game, not where I thought it would be. I thought he'd be closer to 22, 23 this season, but he's unbelievably good on the glass lately. He is gobbling up rebounds, but he's also become a really good playmaker. A lot of people have made joke on social media that he's becoming Draymond Green. Well, when you're averaging 6.5 assists a game, it kind of looks like Draymond Green the way they've been using him as an offensive hub. And you see the field goal percentage get closer to 50 rather than the 42, 43% it's been at all season, and the three-point numbers are staying at 33.3. Like, these are acceptable numbers. Do I, as a Bam Adebayo FC member, want him to be averaging more and being in an all-NBA discussion? Yes. But I do also have to tell you, if the Heat are going to be good, you do have a hierarchy of offensive players that you go to, right? And it's clear that Tyler Herro has become the #1 guy for Miami, and he's rewarding them, averaging 25 a game while shooting damn near 50% from the field and 43% from beyond the arc. So he has proven he can handle that workload offensively. Jimmy's your #2. So if Bam Adebayo is your #3, well, then those numbers you just saw on screen of 16.5, 12.5 on 47 and 33% shooting, those are acceptable numbers. I'm not going to complain about Bam averaging those, since he's now the 3rd option on the Miami Heat. And as long as Herro can sustain being a top 2 guy on a team that's trying to win, well, then there's no issues here. And I did want to show this before getting out of here on today's show. These are the next 10 games for Miami. The Heat are getting through the toughest part of their schedule right now. They just pretty much finish it up with 2 weeks against high leverage basketball teams. Well, they played Toronto. They played Detroit. They got a couple games against the the Magic and Thunder, yes, and then the Rockets. But when you look at these 10 games, Miami currently sits at 12-10. Like I said, 5th in the Eastern Conference. This schedule takes you until the first week of January, into the new year, 2025. I think the way Miami is playing, and I have been a pessimistic Heat fan this season. I am not trying to say I have not been. But when you look at those 10 games, I feel like 7-3 is absolutely on the table. It's going to be tough to beat the Thunder, even at home, but you should be able to split against the Magic. Winning in Houston is not going to be easy. They've been unbelievable this year. But Atlanta, Brooklyn, Detroit, Toronto, Indiana, who's been horrible. New Orleans has been atrocious. Like, if you just take care of business against the sub-500 teams and then just go 2-1 through 1-2 against the good teams, well, you're going to go 7-3, and that would put you at a 19-13 record heading into the month of January for the full time, which is setting you up to be 7, 8+ games above 500 at the February NBA trade deadline. And what have I said? I said I would trade Jimmy Butler if you are a 500 basketball team at the deadline. But if you go 7-3 in the stretch and then just kind of stay afloat in the month of January, you'll be approaching that February 6th NBA trade deadline with a record 7, 8 games above 500, if not a little bit better. And that's where we start to have a different conversation about the outlook of this team. Do I think they're going to be able to beat the Celtics or Knicks in a 7-game series, or even the Magic when fully healthy? Probably not. But they'll be able to at least threaten them and make a potential run in the Eastern Conference if they're able to start stacking some wins over the next 10 games and have a better seeding when the postseason arrives in April. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you do follow me over on Twitter, talking about Heat basketball every single day over there. @Nic_Rohloff is my handle. See you tomorrow with another video. Go Heat.